ठीक है, चलो ठीक है। Now students, let's cut. Now students, let's start with applying DFS to the graph now, finally. So let me make a graph. These are the nodes of the graph. Let it be C, let it be D, E, so finally we have a graph. Now I'll apply this DFS algorithm to this graph and we'll see that how DFS actually formally works. Now the point is, I'll first show you pictorial representation of how is algorithm working using stacks. Then I'll write a C code, and since the code will be very easy, you can easily translate to any preferable language of yours. And then with the help of code, I'll again try to trace this algorithm on this graph. So now how do we start? So for A, we have to pick one particular node. In this case, I am picking up A, but you can pick any of the nodes. Accordingly, the DFS result will be different. We'll discuss it later on. It has many applications and implications, but as of now, let's start with our example. So let's say that we are picking up, we will start our DFS algorithm from this point A. Now, let me also make a stack here, and let me call this stack by name of S. And let me also keep an array which will track the nodes which I have visited. Now what does that mean? I'll come to it later. While explaining the algorithm, I'll explain you what do you exactly mean by visited. So here I have the stack with me, and it works on the principle of stack, that is first in, last out, or last in, first out. So let's start with the algorithm. So how do we proceed? So first of all, now we are starting since from A, we'll put A into the stack, correct? So here we have pushed. I'll use the word former word pushed. Push means something putting into stack, and pop means taking out something from stack. And as you know, the topmost element, only the topmost element will be popped out. So let me push A into this stack, and here is my new stack. Now what do I do? So this is my initial condition. Whenever you start applying DFS, you will have to give a node from where you will start. So in this case, let us start with A. So I have pushed A into the stack. Now what? Now I will pop this A out. So I will pop this A out here, and let us say that now A is So let us say now A has been popped out. Now any element which is being popped out, in this case for example A, will mark is visited. So now A stands visited, and this array will keep track of the visited nodes. So A is now visited. Then what we'll do? Then next is the second most important step of this algorithm, and basically it is the crux of the algorithm, or the heart of the algorithm. Now what you will do, the item which you have popped out, you will see its neighbor. In this case, the neighbor, which are the neighbors of A, B and C. Now you'll also see that whether these B and C has been visited or not. Now for as of now we can see that they have not been visited. So A has two neighbors, B and C, and none of them have been visited. Now what you will do, this is very important step. All the neighbors of the node which has been popped out and the neighbors which has not been visited yet, you will push them onto the stack. Now you will ask in which order. Right now order doesn't matter, correct? So for example, now you will push B and C onto the stack because they are the neighbors of the A which has been just been popped out and they are not yet visited. So for example, I'll put C here and I'll put B here. Done. Now these same steps will be repeated again and again. How? Now in this case we need to pop out something from stack. Now which node will be popped out? Definitely B, as per the property of stack. So now B is popped out and B is now referred to as node which has been visited. Correct? So now B is out and again we'll apply the same concept which we have applied when A was popped out. What are the neighbors of B? F and D. And has they been visited before? No. So push them onto the stack. Again in any order as you like. For example, now I have put D. Let me make the same color coding here. So I have put D and F. Now what? Again pop out the next element from the stack, which in this case is F. We'll pop out F, mark F as visited. Now what? Again the same steps will apply. See the neighbors of F, only one neighbor, G. Has it been visited before? No. So push it onto the stack. Now pop out G. G has been popped out. Mark it as visited. Search neighbors of G which has not been visited. There is only one neighbor. Whether it has been visited? No. Move here to H. Now push onto stack H. Again pop out H. Mark it as visited. Search its neighbors which has not been visited. Now again in this case there are two neighbors, which I and J. So there are two neighbors. Have they been visited before? No. No. Now push those two neighbors onto the stack again in any order. In an order they can be pushed. For example, I push J and then I push I. Now what? Pop out I. So I will be popped out. Again the same check will be made on I. Are there any neighbors? Now in this case there is no neighbor of I. So what we do? Can't do anything. Cannot push anything onto the stack. We go to the next element. Now so I, you have popped it out. I is now not onto the stack. I has also been visited. So now you go back to H as we have gone in case of our first example, correct? Now what you see, G has already been visited, I has already been visited. The node which has not been visited so far is J, and you can also see it from the stack. Now the same logic here is basically being implemented by stack. How? You popped out I. Now what's remaining in the stack? J. So what you will pop out? J. Now you will mark J as visited. Correct? Now what you will do now? You will go back to G. Correct? All of its neighbor. There are two neighbors F and H, but both have been visited. So you go back. Now F, B and G already visited. Again go back. Now when you go back to B, you'll see that it has two neighbors. One has been visited, but D has not been visited now. Correct? So what you will do, but it is in the stack. So what you will do, you'll pop out D, or you go into this branch, you explore this branch. Now you'll pop out D. We have popped out D, entered the D into the array of visited nodes. Now again you will apply same logic to D. Neighbors of D, yes, two neighbors, B and E. But this time B has already been visited, so you won't push B onto the stack. Only neighbor which has not been visited is now E. So what you will do, you will push E onto the stack. So now E has been pushed. Now what? Again the same logic. You pop out E now. So E has been popped out, and here E is now termed as visited. Again the same logic to E. Are there any neighbors? Only one neighbor, but has been already visited. So there is no, I might have said in this graph that I has no neighbor. Actually what I meant at that time was I has no neighbor which has not been visited. So I had one neighbor in this case H, but it has been visited. So when we pop out any element, not only we have to check which are the neighbors of that vertex or no vertices or vertex or node, but whether it has been visited or not. If it has been visited, as good as it has no neighbor. So in this case E has one neighbor D, but has been visited. No use of us. Anything which can be pushed, nothing. Now what? So you will backtrack, correct? As per the algorithm, what you would have done, you would have gone back here, because at E you would have approached the dead end. So what you have done, gone back to D, gone back to B, gone back to A. And here also the same thing is happening. What? Now the next element which is to be popped out is C. So you are here. So what you will do, you will pop out C. You will pop out C and mark it as visited. Correct? And now you see, when you popped out C, is there any neighbor of C? Yes. Only one neighbor A has been visited? Yes, it has been visited. So there is nothing. Now you can push onto the stack. So now our stands empty, and our algorithm has finally terminated. And this is our result. So this is basically nothing but DFS traversal of this graph when the input node was A. Now again, if you could observe here, if I ask you that for this question, will there be a unique DFS traversal? Just think about it, pause and think about it. Okay, so as you might have guessed, no. There could be multiple versions of DFS traversal of this graph, even if we have started with node A. How? The reason is, when we popped out A and pushed two of its unvisited neighbor, I told you at that time that you had a choice. So what we had done, we had pushed C and then we had pushed B. That's why we've traversed through this path, right? But had I put something like this, first B and then C. So in the next step, what element would I have popped out? I would have popped out not B but C, and I would have taken this path. Is it clear? So here, instead of B, it would have been C. And you could see, similarly, when we went through this path, we could have gone to this path also. When we went through this path, we pushed D first and then F. But had we pushed F first, we would have gone to this path. So there can be multiple answers to this question, and that precisely has been asked in GATE also. They will give you a question and ask you that which DFS traversal of this graph is possible if we start from this node. We'll see those questions later on, but this is the main concept, pictorial representation of this algorithm. Now we'll write the code and we'll see how we are going to implement all this in a normal C code.